So we're taught that we have to create these milestones and these goals for ourselves, that if we achieve them, then we get the reward of being happy. And this is actually an engineered belief. This is a manufactured idea that is really good for marketing. It's really good for getting people to buy things because then you need to buy the thing and have more things in order for you to have the feeling that you want to have. But it's not the truth. The truth is that you are capable of being happy no matter what your circumstances are. And there's incredible evidence for this from people's writings in really dire situations. One of my favorite books in the world by by Viktor Frankl, who talks about his time in a concentration camp and how he was able to maintain his spirit and his humanity in really, truly torturous situations. And that's just an example and kind of an extreme example of how you are at 100% of the time capable of being happy if you know how to generate that for yourself. So that's great news. Rather than playing fetch with your happiness, where you're throwing your happiness into the future and then you have to hustle and kind of suffer or stress to try and get to that place of happiness, you carry it with you and you generate your life around you from that place, from the place of feeling strong and feeling like you know what you want, and it's more of a creative process figuring out what your next move is going to be rather than checking things off the box to try and earn that happiness. It's a bit like this old model of throwing your happiness into the future is a bit like training in something that you don't actually want to be good at and spending years doing that. So you're training in frustration, you're training in suffering, you're training in working hard, you're training in disappointment or in loneliness or whatever that feeling is that you're wanting to get away from. You're training yourself in that, and then when you actually do get to the goal, assuming you ever do, then you don't even know how to feel grateful or joyful or relaxed or in love or whatever it is, the feeling that you're after with that particular goal. You've been training yourself in the opposite direction that you want to go in. So even if you get the physical manifestation, the physical thing that you're after, you don't even know how to appreciate it. And that's how we see some of the extreme levels of greed that we have in our world, where people get, they get the mega yacht, and then they need the helicopter, and then they need the private jet, and then they have the big beautiful home, and so then they need 10 more of them, and then they need the island, and then when you stop and you relish in the goodness that you have, you actually experience satisfaction. So instead of just constant yearning, constant wanting, you actually feel satiated. And from a place of satiation, you can be really creative and have a lot of fun in choosing what your life looks like. So I started off talking about, knowing how to generate this happiness inside yourself. So I have, in this training, there's 3 aspects of this that we go over. The first one is neutralizing trauma or the big feelings or the consistent less than ideal emotions that you feel that sort of maybe are humming along in the background. And there's a basic formula for healing that is the same formula that's used in massage therapy. It's the same formula that's used by a mother comforting a child. It's used in Reiki, EMDR, EFT, somatic therapy, focusing, psychotherapy. It's even the basis of, or it's at least influencing our modern Western medicine. And in the first video, I share this formula and how you can use it most easily to heal your persistent painful feelings, like feelings of frustration or fear or inadequacies or self-doubt, things like that, so that you are more at a baseline of emotion. You're not being consistently like brought back down, pulled down by these emotions. And your emotions are kind of like a room full of children. If you let them all, you can let them run in different directions all day long, and they drag you along. Somebody says one thing and it upsets you, or you get excited by a movie you see, or all day long we get these influences coming at us, and it's really easy to just sort of follow along like a bumper car. And all of that fear or your even excitement, because it's so ungrounded, you get your attention and your focus gets pulled in a million different directions. Now you can harmonize all of these different voices in you into a single joyful experience. So you still have the full range of emotion, but rather than it being like being a ping pong ball where you're being bounced from experience to experience and not having a basis to sort of funnel all of that energy into, you create a unity within yourself, or a ground, kind of a base level feeling place that everything happens inside of. So it's like a container of happiness or a container of well-being. So yeah, you might still get scared at a certain point, or you might still feel sad at a certain point, but it's within the context of being a happy person. So everything is being bent towards well-being. Everything is being useful. All of those emotions that come up, they're giving you information towards that single end of happiness. So that's really what the second video is about. The second video is about learning to choose the direction of your feelings and guide that intentionally. When you feel good for no reason, inventing your life, as I was talking about this in the beginning of the video, becomes more of a creative play. So ideas and dreams become reality with ease. All of the energy that was stuck in that pinball game, or in sometimes the deeper frustrations or traumas, all of that energy becomes available. So instead of kind of running these scripts in the back of your head where you're kind of always coping with having to cope with either the room full of noisy children, all of your different emotions, or coping with a strong emotion that is sort of pulling you backwards, you're suddenly free to, you just have access to all of this energy, this fun, playful, clear-hearted, clear-headed, imaginative energy. And just like when you were a child and you might play an imaginative game where, you're the queen or the warrior and then the bad guy comes, you get to design your life like that. You get to design what your obstacles are and how you overcome them, and your life can become more of like a hero's journey. It's not like necessarily no obstacles forevermore, but there's a narrative of joy and enthusiasm that overrides all of the circumstances in your life. And the influence that you would like to have over how certain things go becomes really powerful, because now your life presently has your attention rather than your emotions having your attention. How you actually want to spend your time, what you care about, that actually gets your focus. And when it has your focus, things start moving really quickly. So that's kind of an overview of everything that we're going to cover in this course. If you look below, you can see a breakdown of the different ways that you can participate. And as always, if you have any questions, feel free to email me.